You work 40 hours a week, you cut your spending, you try to save, and you still feel financially stuck. That's not your fault. The median American worker would need 158 years of saving at their current rate to match what a single passive income stream generates for the top 10%. The game is real. Nobody explained the rules. And the worst part is, you have probably tried. You read the articles, watched the videos, maybe even bought a course. But every time you got close, it either cost too much to start, took too long to pay off, or fell apart completely. You are not bad at money. You were handed a map drawn for someone else's destination. Here is something you can use right now. Take your monthly expenses and multiply by 300. That number is your financial independence target, the amount you need invested to live off returns alone. If your expenses are $2,000 a month, your target is $600,000. Not a million, not a vague dream. A specific, real number you can actually plan for. The advice you hear most often is save more and invest in index funds. And yes, index funds are legitimate, but here is where it breaks down. That advice assumes you have decades, stable income, and no financial emergencies in between. For most people, life interrupts the plan every 3 to 5 years. Saving alone is not a strategy. It is a waiting game most people lose. There is a reason the passive income conversation always stays vague. Courses tell you to start a blog, flip products, or invest in real estate, but skip the part where they explain the underlying engine. That engine is not a tactic. It is a structural shift in how money moves through your life. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Everything else is just noise on top of it. The core problem is this. Most people only have one financial pipe, their labor. All money in comes through that single pipe. When it stops, everything stops. Passive income is not about getting rich quick. It is about building a second pipe, a structure that moves money into your account independently of whether you showed up to work today. That is the entire mechanism. Nothing more. This is not a new idea. It has just been buried. In the early 1900s, John D. Rockefeller famously said he would rather earn 1% from 100 people's efforts than 100% from his own. He was not describing exploitation, he was describing structure. The wealthiest people across every generation understood that labor has a ceiling. Structured capital does not. Someone building passive income does not think about how to earn more per hour. They think about how to build something that earns while they sleep, travel, get sick, or grieve. The average person trades time for money and assumes that is the only option. The person building a second pipe asks a different question. Not how much does this pay, but how long will this keep paying after I stop working on it? According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, the top 10% of earners in the United States derive less than half their income from wages. The rest comes from investments, rental income, business equity, and royalties. Meanwhile, the bottom 60% derive over 90% of their income from labor alone. That is not a gap in effort. That is a gap in structure. Stop asking, how do I make more money? And start asking, what can I build that will outlast my effort? That single shift changes every financial decision you make. A savings account is not passive income. A side job is not passive income. Passive income is a structure, a root system that continues to deliver even when you are no longer watering it. That is what you are actually trying to build. First principle. Your first passive income source should require the least capital and the most leverage on what you already know. If you understand software, that is digital products. If you understand a local market, that is rental arbitrage. If you understand a skill deeply, that is licensing that skill. Do not start with the most popular option. Start with the option closest to your existing knowledge base. Speed comes from proximity. Second principle. Build for compounding, not for payout. The most dangerous temptation in passive income is spending the returns before they compound. If your investment earns $500 in month one and you spend it, you have a paycheck, not a passive income stream. Reinvest for at least the first 12 to 18 months. That is the difference between a drip and a river. One of them eventually floods the field. Third principle: every passive income stream must have a defined maintenance cost in time, money, and attention before you build it. If you cannot answer those three numbers, you do not have a passive income plan. You have a fantasy. This week, pick one source, estimate those three costs honestly, and write them down. That single act of specificity will tell you more than any course ever will. The first mistake most people make is chasing multiple streams simultaneously. They start a YouTube channel, open a brokerage account, list a property on Airbnb, and launch a print-on-demand store, all within 6 months. None of them get enough time to compound. The fix is ruthless focus. Build one stream to the point of self-sustainability before you start the next. Depth before breadth, always. The second mistake is confusing high yield with low risk. There is a passive income product being sold right now promising 12 to 18% annual returns. That number should terrify you, not excite you. In finance, return is always compensation for risk. If someone is offering you 18%, they are paying you to absorb risk they do not want. A counterexample: Warren Buffett has averaged 10% annually for 60 years. That is the ceiling of sustainable. Maria is a 34-year-old teacher in Ohio. She earns $52,000 a year. 3 years ago, she invested $11,000 in a low-cost dividend index fund and set automatic reinvestment. Today, that account generates roughly $420 per month without her touching it. She did not quit her job. She did not start a business. She just built a second pipe and left it alone. That is passive income in practice. Let the numbers do the talking. $500 per month invested at 7% average annual return over 20 years becomes $260,000. At that point, it generates roughly $18,000 per year in passive income without selling a single share. Add 10 more years and that number triples. The variable that matters most is not how much you earn. It is how early you start building the second pipe. Now, the real barriers. You might not have $500 a month right now. The cost of living is brutal, and that is not a personal failure. It is a structural reality millions share. Start with 50. Start with 20. The amount matters far less than the habit and the structure. The second barrier is distrust. After being sold garbage by financial gurus, skepticism is healthy. So start with regulated, publicly traded instruments you can verify yourself. No trust required. Step 1, do this today. Open a brokerage account with a regulated institution. In the US, that means Fidelity, Schwab, or Vanguard. In Europe, Trade Republic or similar. Set the initial deposit to whatever you can genuinely afford this month without skipping rent or food, even $30. The goal today is not returns. The goal is creating the structure. An empty brokerage account is more powerful than a full savings account. It is the pipe, not the water. Step 2, do this within the first week. Automate the deposit. Set a recurring transfer from your checking account to your investment account on the same day your paycheck arrives. The psychological effect of automation is underrated. You never see the money, so you never miss it. Start with a fixed amount, even $20 weekly, and set the investment to auto-purchase a broad market index fund. Remove every decision from the equation. Step 3, the long game. Once your first stream reaches $100 per month in passive returns, start researching your second source, one that uses knowledge, not just capital. This could be licensing a template, writing a guide, or creating a digital tool in your professional domain. You are not replacing your income immediately. You are planting an orchard. The first tree takes the longest. Every tree after it grows faster because the roots already exist. Here's what I want you to think about. If passive income is this straightforward, build a structure, automate it, let it compound. Why is the default advice still just work harder and spend less? Is it because the people giving that advice genuinely do not know better? Or is there a system that benefits from keeping most people dependent on a single paycheck? Drop your honest answer below. I read every one.